Hi there, I'm Lisa Maxwell, and I'm here to, this is a little video to talk about something I touched on a couple of videos ago, which is about how a lot of people get a little freaked out about tarot or symbolism in general. Tarot or tarot, whatever, however you want to pronounce it, um, is a way to actually meditate. And people will also I mean, it's historically been used to predict the future or control events. A very human thing, um, which is where I feel it edges on being used improperly. Sorry, I'm just going to say that. And so, for many spiritual perspectives or spiritual traditions, religious traditions, whatever, tarot divination practices are therefore um, described as, the use of the devil, because any kind of control, and if we're using any tool, whatever that might be, in a way to control either our emotions, how we're going to feel about things, or control the future, how we're going to respond to the future when we're not even being present. Anything that you do on that we do on that level is going to be controlling and have a manipulative intent, right? Does make sense. So I know even for me, my relationship with tarot has taken a long time to develop, and because yes, I too was using the information improperly, and I was using it in a fearful way. I was blocking some of the messages that were received, and kind of trying to fit the messages into a limited framework where any kind of symbolic practice is, or any use of symbolism is just to, like I said a couple of videos ago, take the information in and then sit with it and then decide how you're going to utilize that information, or how that information could be utilized. I'm not going to use the word should, because when you should all over yourself. Or the situation, right? If we're applying shoulds, then we're again putting things into a particular box that limits what the information has to impart. And we're smart beings, we're very smart, but we have room to get smarter. I know I do. So I have a little something I want to share. So one card that came up as part of the last reading that I did was the Dragonfly card. And I sat with this a little longer and said, you know who you really are. But then I really noticed illusion, as I don't know if you can see that word, illusion is at the top of that. So dragonfly energy and how it was described in this Power Animal Oracle Cards book by Stephen Farmer, PhD. Dragonfly energy, one of the things that stood out for me in the reading of this, I went and read it and sat with it, meditated with it. One of the more popular ruses. So on occasion, it's time to let the you of who you are show up in all your varied expressions and manifestations. Go back and listen to that reading. We have to be ourselves no matter what in relationships in order for them to be authentic. So one of the more popular ruses you run on yourself is pretending you don't know the truth. In other words, you play dumb, hoping that because others like to feel superior, you can indulge them in this way. Yet inwardly, you can be smug and secretly indulge in your own illusion of superiority. That one got me because that one's something I've been working on for a while. We like to believe, oh yeah, sure, we like to be so amiable and go along with stuff. But then what's the intention? What are we trying to do there? We're not showing up as ourselves, right? And we're kind of in the background being like, oh yeah, well, I'm just going to sit back here and watch you burn yourself. Totally been that person. Who hasn't? Once you acknowledge the truth, then you'll know what to do. And by that acknowledgement and acceptance, you can accept the truth of who you are. So, when we really do do this kind of self-reflection, which was definitely invited as part of our weekend reading, and we do that, we're really staying in our own lane, walking on our own side of the street, not trying to like sit back and judge how other people should walk, things like that. Sorry, I've got the windows open because it's beautiful here. And this is the first time in like a month and a half I've been able to do that. But yeah, surrender, let go of control. This one came up to the otter. Another interpretation. So, again, so I could look at that. So I sat with that. So if we take in information and we allow ourselves to kind of reflect on it and just be honest with ourselves, like I saw myself doing that. And I saw instances where it came up and I was doing that over the course of the weekend. Totally saw it yesterday. I was like, oh, there it is. When we see those patterns, it's so liberating. That Kali card, liberating. And if we can see them with honesty, then we can start becoming those better versions of ourselves. We can start taking in information without making it fearful. A lot of times we don't want it. We get afraid of it because we're like, we might have to admit that we're doing that. Okay. What I wanted to talk about mainly today, though, so there was that. We're a couple of, I want to show you actually this selection of cards that came up in a different reading. And I used that cool little deck. So this is a really difficult reading. This is some really difficult information. 7 of Cups is something that, I've got all these ideas and I'm going to do all of them and and I'm not going to pay attention. I'm looking away I'm excluding any kind of other input. Again, not taking in the information. 8 of Swords is, I've now been surrounded by so much information. I don't know what to do with it. So these are very simplistic reads, by the way. And 9 of Swords, this is a place where we're like literally like up at night it's nightmare situation. It's that 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. I can't go back to sleep because I'm so worried. That's a difficult read. So when we come up against something like this, again, how can we take this information and sit with it? So I sat with this. 7 of Cups, there's sapphires here. Like 7 of Cups is actually, I have a lot of different options. And Cups is water. So I've got a lot of creativity. So instead of being like, I have so many options, I don't know what to do with it, but I'm just going to sit here enthralled and daydream all day. This is allowing yourself to be in a little bit of a daydream state and to also, Cups are also the suit of feeling through things. To allow myself to feel what are these different options. And to know that this is a 7, to kind of sit with your feelings, sit with your spirit. What resonates with your heart? Again, back to our frog. By the way, I also read a little from a different animal spirit deck about frog. Like, we have to, like I said, frogs are sensitive. We have to actually see what we're sensitive to. What about these options? Like, you look up there and one of the options is something maybe you've been working on for a long time. Again, there's an I'm walking away from something energy. I've been working on this for a long time, but I just am either desensitized to it or I just don't know what to do with it anymore. And that really is an indication to step back from it, to put that at a different, just back burner that. But we might not want to do that. Going into this 8 of Swords energy. Sword energy is thoughts, it's attitudes, it's logic, it's air, it's just. But this is actually an invitation to consider. Okay, out of all these options, if I'm coming up with 8 of Swords energy can be very, very frustrating. It's usually depicted as a woman blindfolded, surrounded by swords. But because I use this deck, this Kolstein, which is also more modern in modern, its modern name is Celestite, is actually a stone of angels. So we're surrounded by angels, and this was the central card of the reading. So we sit with these energies, and we look beyond the fact that, yes, normally this card is depicted as a blindfolded woman surrounded by a bunch of swords. And she doesn't know, like, if she goes this way, she's going to get cut. If this way, she's going to get cut. Sure. So we have to, what this actually invites instead of a dangerous situation, it's actually to say, okay, I have all of these ideas. I got to feel through them. I have to actually sit blindfolded, allow myself to not have my sight, and maybe, yeah, bump up against these swords and, ooh, that's a little edgy. Be sensitive enough to allow yourself to just sit and not try to go and make any strong moves that are going to cut unnecessarily and deeply to get out of whatever prison that you feel like you're in. Because those 8 swords are surrounding the woman in typical. Talk to angels, talk to the spirit, talk to your inner wisdom. Sit with things long enough and don't try to take in the information in a way that creates, again, this fearful reaction, which where now you're trying to bolt out of this sword situation or out of your thoughts. Like, just try to sit with things. And then, again, rather than get to this progression of a 9 of swords, which is a 9 of swords and even a 10 of swords, this is a place where we know we have to actually change our thought patterns, because now we're in this like extreme worry energy, and worrying is just a meditation on the negative. A 9 of swords and then the 10 of swords, something has to change in our thought processes, our frameworks, the way we take information and use it. So what is a difficult read is actually an invitation to just change. And change, of course, takes time. We have to be open to it, right? So that's just a little bit of a little tutorial about how to take a difficult read and turn it into something else. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, and I'm going to come back and do the reading.